Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on such very short notice to discuss the important issues of our transportation infrastructure. Before I introduce the governor, I just want to recognize a few distinguished individuals who've joined us this morning. Former Mayor David Dinkins, Public Advocate Tish James, you can wait for the applause to the end. The New York City Controller Scott Stringer, members of the State Senate and Assembly, Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer, several of our district attorneys and members of the New York City Council, our friends from Labor, and members of the governor's administration. You can now applaud. I'm not sure if Joe Loda is here yet. He had an earlier meeting, but he is on his way. Oh, Joe's here. There you go. So, Joe, I just want to make a special acknowledgement of your return as MTA chair. Joe joined the MTA a month ago and released his 30-day plan ahead of schedule on Tuesday. Welcome back, Joe. We want to congratulate you and your team at the MTA for proposing a thoughtful and responsible set of near-term solutions to repair and stabilize our subway system. Joe was an invaluable asset to New York during the Hurricane Sandy times, and seeing him at the helm again makes us all hopeful for the future of our transportation system. Joe, Godspeed and thank you. Governor Cuomo, Abney is honored to host you for the second time this year and to give us an update on the state's initiatives regarding infrastructure. The governor has been a close friend of Abney since day one of his administration and has been committed to working with the private sectors for the common goal of moving New York forward. One of the biggest transformations under the governor's leadership has been how New York approaches its infrastructure. Governor, we know our transportation infrastructure is the lifeblood of our city and has been a priority for Abney for over 45 years. We are committed to working together with all of the stakeholders towards modernizing our aging infrastructure. We welcome you back to New York City after your meeting yesterday with Secretary of Transportation Chow in Washington, D.C., to discuss another major infrastructure priority for the region, the Gateway Tunnel. The business community, and I think all New Yorkers, stand with you in advocating for federal funding for this critical project. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Governor Andrew M. Cuomo.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be back at Abney, and especially with my good friend, Bill Rudin. Let's give him a round of applause. Bill is a great asset for all of the state, as is his entire family. So it's a pleasure to be with him. He's acknowledged a few people, but pardon me if I reiterate some of the acknowledgments. Joe Loda, who came back, he still has his day job, and serving as chairman of the MTA at this time is really a phenomenal personal sacrifice and a great public service. Let's give him another round of applause. We have with us John Samuelson, who's the head of the TWU, who are the hardworking men and women of the system. We have a great labor leader, Hector Figueroa, who is our partner in the airports. It's a pleasure to be with him. A labor leader who in many ways started the modern progressive labor movement, Dennis Rivera. Pleasure to be with Dennis. And public advocate Tish James. Where are you, Tish? Good to see you. And our comptroller, who makes sure we're all under comptrol, Mr. Stringer. Thank you very much. As Bill said, the conversation this morning is going to be about infrastructure and where we are and what we're doing and what's next. In many ways, we believe the state is on the move. It's early in the morning, so we're going to start with a quiz. Who said, if you build it, they will come? Here's a hint. No answers. Lou Rudin said it. The hint was a trap, and you all went for it. Lou Rudin said it. Maybe not in so many words, but he said it by the example that he set, and Nelson Rockefeller said it, and Robert Moses said it, and Fiorello LaGuardia said it, and Mario Cuomo said it, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt said it. The state of New York says it by its presence. The state is the state because we built it that way. This was not natural evolution, my friends. This is a constructed environment. And what made New York, New York was the daring and the ambition and the drive of New Yorkers. That's who we are. That's where we came from. That's our legacy, which is to lead. We started building the New York State Thruway before President Eisenhower started the federal interstate system. We refused to give up. In the middle of the Great Depression, we set out to build the tallest building in the world. They say it's impossible. It only whets our appetite to get it done. Tallest bridge after tallest bridge. Subway system construction that they said was impossible. And we drove the development. We were ahead of the development. This is a picture of the 7 line going out to Queens. When they built it, there was nothing around. You would say to yourself, why are you building a line out there? There are no people. But they had the foresight to know that if you build it, they will come. That is the New York story. Long Island Railroad built out through the potato fields. But now Long Island is a phenomenal success. The secret formula was economic development follows transportation and infrastructure. That's the formula, and that's what we knew in New York. Now, for the past 50 years, somewhere along the way, we lost that spirit. We lost our confidence. We lost our mojo. Ask yourself, what was the last great project that we built in this state? Ask yourself, what was the last great project we built in the United States of America? And while we stood still, the rest of the world has been growing and has been building. And you can see that we're now suffering the consequences of our inaction. You look at the traffic on our roads. We have some of the worst congestion in the United States of America. You look at our airports, they're crowded, they're uncomfortable, and they're second rate, if not third rate. Now, as a society, we recognize the problem. Democrats and Republicans. Vice President Joe Biden has been talking about the infrastructure for a long, long time. President Trump, main platform in his campaign was about the infrastructure and putting Americans back to work. Great. A lot of talk, but nothing is happening. except, my friends, in New York State. We have launched the largest rebuilding program in the United States of America, a $100 billion program. And this is not normal government. We're not talking about it. We're not planning about it. We're not having committee meetings about it. We're not considering it. We're not analyzing it. We are actually doing it. And we're doing it fast, and we are doing it right. We're building a new airport at LaGuardia. I'm pleased to announce that last week we received the final approval from the FAA. The last phase is complete. Delta is going to break ground in the next 2 weeks to begin construction on a $4 billion 37-gate facility. LaGuardia is going to be the first new airport in this country in 25 years. Just think about it. After 20 years of talking about the Moynihan Train Hall at Penn Farley, 20 years we endured the indignity of Penn Station and the decay of Penn Station, when for 20 years we had the proposal on the table to build a train hall right across the street, but it just sat there. And we have plans for a magnificent 250,000 square foot transit hub, bigger than the Grand Central Terminal main course, 70,000 square feet of balcony level, world-class dining, shopping, and indoor retail facility being developed by Related and Vornado. And I'm pleased to announce that US DOT just approved a $500 million, what they call TIFIA loan, and construction is now underway, and Moynihan Train Hall is going to be a reality, and construction has started. Today we're announcing that cashless tolling on the MTA bridges and tunnels has been accelerated and will be complete by the end of the year. Commuters' travel time has already been reduced by 9 hours of drive time since January. Just think about that. And that was long overdue. First span of the new Kosciuszko Bridge is open to traffic this spring. And yesterday we lowered the main deck of the old bridge, put it on a barge, floated it away. Goodbye, we're not going to miss you. And we're starting the second span construction now. JFK, we just issued the RFP for a master planner who will design the future of a $10 billion global hub of the modern age that will be the most sophisticated airport, international airport on the globe when we are finished. We're going to take it from one of the worst to the best. And that process is underway. Jacob Javits Convention Center is now under construction. We're adding 1.5 million square feet. Proposal was 20 years ago. It increases the meeting space fivefold, creates the largest ballroom in the Northeast. Just hope your daughter doesn't want to get married there. And the largest rooftop solar array of its kind. That's under construction. And on Long Island, which for 70 years was talking about updating the Long Island Railroad, because in many places the Long Island Railroad is just one track. And you know when you hear those morning reports on the radio where they say the track, there is a problem on the track on the Long Island Railroad? They mean that literally. It's a track. And a squirrel dies on the track, and now you have a problem. For 70 years, they've been talking about updating the Long Island Railroad. We're now doing it. New second track, new third track, new switches, new signals, 39 rehabilitated stations, better rails, smoother ride, and just last week, the state legislature. And that's underway also. And it's not just downstate New York. Upstate New York, We're investing and building a new state fairground outside of Syracuse, a new airport in Elmira Corning, which is underway, a new airport in Rochester, which is underway, a new airport in Syracuse, which is underway, a new airport in Plattsburgh, which is underway, new train station in Rochester, which is underway, new train station in Schenectady that is finished. So we've proven that we can do it, right? Cynicism. What our opponents sell is cynicism of government and skepticism. No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. And for many years, government didn't live up to the task, right? Even if it had the right intent, it didn't have the capacity to actually make it happen. It didn't have the competence to make it happen. Well, that has changed. We can do these things. The skeptics, the cynics, the naysayers were wrong, and we have proven them wrong. We're doing it right, and we're doing it fast, and the proof is in the pudding. Next priorities are twofold. First, the New York City subway system, and second, the Gateway Tunnel, as Bill mentioned. New York City subways, you know the story well. It's vital to our economy. It moves 11 million riders, the MTA, across 12 counties. New York City on its own has the highest rate of public transit use, 54%. 1/3 of the nation's total mass transit riders are in New York City. Today, the city is growing, neighborhoods are flourishing. It's amazing how so many neighborhoods are coming back that were in such disrepair just a few decades ago, and that's all great news. The bad news is it's placed tremendous demands on the subway system. And when you put together aging infrastructure, and some of these subway cars are 30, 40 years old, the signal system, 50, 60 years old, the system has been underfunded for decades. And then on top of that, you add this tremendous new volume, you have the problem that we have now. June 21, Joe Loder came in as new chair of the MTA. We declared a state of emergency, and Joe's task was to come up with an MTA transformation plan, which he delivered last week ahead of schedule. The plan basically has two phases. Number one is to stabilize the system and then to modernize it. Phase one targets individual components that make up about 79% of the delays. They fall in 5 critical areas: track and signal maintenance, car reliability, safety, cleanliness of the system, customer communication, and management. Long term, we need a new way to think about the system, new technology, new signals. We need Wi-Fi in the system. Right now, it takes 4 to 5 years to get a new subway car. There has to be a better way. We just had a genius conference where we brought in the best minds from all across the globe, all the providers, all the vendors, all the engineers, to look at our system and get the best ideas, and the MTA is going through them now. So progress is on the way. But real progress will require not just the MTA, but the partners of the MTA. The MTA does not exist in a vacuum. The MTA needs the NYPD to be enforcing the laws in the subway system and be present. Public safety is important. The quality of life crimes are important. Littering, well, that's just a nuisance. No. Littering starts fires on the track, and it is dangerous. And we need the NYPD to step up and do that role. Fire department, New York State DOT, et cetera. So there are many factors that come into play for the MTA to function well. And it can't solve its problems by itself. The most important partner to the MTA is the power provider. And this is often overlooked When you were a kid and you had a train set, you had to plug it in. We have to plug in the MTA every morning. And the MTA does not control the power supply to the MTA. Over the last 12 months, 32,000 delays because of power-related issues. And they can either be a power surge or a power shortage, but 32,000 delays. The MTA doesn't control the power, Con Edison does. Con Edison has a duty to safely, prudently, and effectively provide electricity that powers the subway system. Con Ed is a regulated utility under the state's Public Service Commission. On April 21, after the last outage, I ordered an investigation of the Con Ed infrastructure after a particularly devastating failure. The investigation goes on, but PSC has already found that Con Ed must make immediate and significant improvements in the system because the reliability depends on it. Con Ed is going to be required to inspect and repair all supply lines that come in from the manholes to the system, all the interlockings, all the station equipment, all the high voltage substations. They'll be installing new sensor and monitoring equipment which will alert them to problems before it happens. If there are problems, Con Ed is going to have to be in a position where they can get an emergency generator to any station in the city and hook it up within 30 minutes. That is part of the service that they're going to have to provide. Con Ed will also be embedded in the MTA, so there'll be no more finger pointing and back and forth and no more delays in communication between the two. The Public Service Commission set a specific timetable for the corrective action plan. Most of it will be completed by the end of this year. So they're on a very aggressive timeline. PSC is staying on top of the implementation of the plan, and any violations of the plan will be fined by the Public Service Commission. The Partnership for New York City says that if subways are delayed, they estimate the cost at $15 million per hour. That's how important this system is. I want to thank John Rhodes, who's here today from the Public Service Commission. Let's give him a round of applause. Because the PSC has really stepped up to the plate on this one, and I want to thank Con Ed for their cooperation in this venture. Reliable power is a big step forward, but we need to do more because it's going to take all of us. We need to get private businesses involved in the MTA, which they haven't been thus far. We need to get more citizen participation in the MTA. And we have to change our attitude. This is our MTA, right? This is our transit system. We are all in this together, right? 6 million people taking a transit system. There has to be an air of civic engagement and participation, investment in this system. We're going to start a subway partnership program. First public-private partnership of its kind to help generate a better customer experience. Through this program, we're giving private sector partners an opportunity to play a part in bringing our subway system into the modern age. We've done this in the park system, it worked. We've done it with historic properties, it worked. Now we should do it with the subway system. Businesses and civic organizations can become members of a partnership council by contributing $250,000. They'll work to improve and enhance the stations themselves by the funds that they raise. Companies have already signed on, and we thank them for their partnership and their leadership. We'll also have an Adopt a Station program, where by contributing additional funds, determined by the size of the station and traffic of the station for a total contribution of $600,000. The businesses can enhance those stations, enhanced maintenance, enhanced security, enhanced aesthetics. There could be art in the stations. Many of our stations already do have art, what we did with the new 2nd Avenue subway, but we can do more, and we want to bring the private sector in as a full partner in doing this. We also want to bring citizens in a way they haven't been involved before, because civic engagement is part of this, and citizens have a role. Keep it clean, keep it safe, be courteous. There was more of an air of civility on the subway at one time. I know we're going through a tough time. I know those trains are crowded. I know it's hard. But let's remember we're all in this together, and we are all New Yorkers. And let's each citizen be part of the solution as we're going through this transformation. Our next priority is the Gateway Project. As you heard, it is probably the most critical infrastructure project on the East Coast. It's the tunnels that go from Jersey to New York, but they bring all the rail that goes to the Northeast. 17% of the entire country population, 22% of the nation's GDP, okay? And it goes through 2 tunnels that are under the Hudson River. The 2 tunnels that are under the Hudson River are old and have been damaged by Hurricane Sandy. And no engineer wants to tell you how long they will remain reliable. But if those tunnels go down, it will be catastrophic. The Gateway Tunnel Project says we'll build 2 new tunnels and then go back and rehabilitate the existing 2, so we'll have 4 tunnels. It's actually an exciting project. Besides doing the tunnels, it will then connect to Penn Station, expand Penn Station, improve Penn Station, which will then be right across the street from our new Moynihan Train Hall, which will be spectacular, which is basically next door to the Hudson Yards. So this would be an infusion in the West Side and a synergy with the Hudson Yards that would really be exciting. It has to happen, and it has to happen soon. We know what we have to do. We know we have the vision, we have the plan, we have the leadership, we have the ability. We need one more thing. It's called the resources. Gateway funding is $20 billion. We need a shared commitment between the federal government and the state government to do the Gateway program. New York State has stepped up, and we have committed $5 billion to Gateway, and I am proud of it, and I think it's a fair investment for the state to make. But we need President Trump to fulfill the federal commitment to make Gateway a reality. We cannot do it on our own. And President Trump was right. He was right during the campaign when he said the need is infrastructure, that we're falling behind, when he talked about putting people to work with those infrastructure jobs. And remember the $1 trillion infrastructure proposal that he spoke about? $1 trillion. Where is it? What happened to it? It was the single best idea that I heard come from his campaign, and now it's disappeared. We can't lose it. We especially can't lose the Gateway Project. There is no other way for it to happen without federal participation. And my friends, it must happen. It's a very simple concept. You have an old tunnel that is damaged, that will collapse at one point, and when it collapses, you'll see a collapse of the Northeast economy. On the New York City subway system, the question is again resources. New York State has invested heavily in the MTA. We have made historic investments in the MTA. I've invested more money in the MTA than any other governor in modern political history, and I am proud of it. We right now have as a capital plan $8 billion from the state, $2.5 billion from the city. There's an operating fund, annual operating fund. We contribute $5 billion. New York City contributes $1.8 billion. The cost of the first phase of the New York City subway transformation is $836 million. How do you split the cost? The MTA plan suggested 50-50. Solomon-like. Left out that the state had already contributed much, much more, but I understand Solomon. New York State commits itself to fund 50% of the plan. Why? Because it's smart. Mass transit is the city's circulatory system. You slow down the subway system, you slow down the blood flow in this city. That's why it's smart. It's fair, it's right, and at the same time, we are not going to wait for additional promises. I want Mr. Loda and Mr. Samuelson to know today I'm making the state's funds available to begin the transformation of the MTA. Our partners should do the same. There is no time for delay, and there is no tolerance for a lack of commitment on this issue. To me, this is black and white. New Yorkers need help, and they need it now. The fundamental responsibility of government is to respond in a timely and effective way when people need help. And the current MTA situation is a crisis. And that's why we're going to get to work today, because subway riders are suffering, and subway riders are the hardworking men and women who are the backbone of this city. They're doing all the tough jobs. They're working around the clock. Subways at night now are more busy than they've ever been before. People are working 2 jobs, 3 jobs just to make ends meet. And the ultimate indignity is to then be put on a subway that makes you late or is delayed or is inconvenient. They deserve, all of us, to step up and to make a difference. Also, because it's smart, because if we do not improve the subway system, at one point it will actually hurt the city's economy. We have to improve the subway system because, as you've heard in the presentation, New York State is all about moving forward. New York State is all about leadership. New York State is all about getting things done. And New York State is not going to go backwards because we didn't step up to the plate and fund the repairs of the subway system. And because we are New Yorkers, and that means something, and that says something. We are a unique breed of people. It's who we are, it's what we do, it's where we came from. We are born of daring and talent and ambition. That is what is in our genes. That is the energy and the culture of this city. That's what you feel when you're walking down the street. That's the intensity that people talk about. Wow, New York, what an energy. They're right. We are special. We did do things that nobody believed we could do. We continue to do things that nobody believes we can do, because we do stand on the shoulders of giants who came before us. And we learned from them, and we carry forward their legacy. And at the end of the day, my friends, it's very, very simple. We have a certain period of time on this earth, And what the good book tells all of us is use your time to make this place a better place. There's a Native American proverb: we didn't inherit the earth from our parents, we're borrowing it from our children. We need to leave this state better than we found it. And we're going to leave her safer, sweeter, kinder, cleaner, more secure than she's ever been before. That's our vow as citizens, as parents. That's our promise to our children. We are on the road to making it happen. Let's not stop now. God bless you.